Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Temple Buddhist Center's Sunday meditation service. My name is Victor, and I'm honored to be of service this morning. We hope that our service this morning finds each and every one of you happy and healthy, but please know that if you are struggling in any way, we hope that our Sangha, our service, the teachings can be a source of refuge for you as we open our hearts to you and to your loved ones. And just a reminder to everyone who is physically present here in the meditation hall, we do have listening devices, we have throat lozenges, we have tissues, and there are also still a few meditation cushions available up front here. So please do whatever is necessary to make yourself comfortable. We'd like to begin our service this morning with a few conscious breaths. A conscious breath is where you seal the mouth, breathe deeply through the nose, hold that breath for a few moments, and then release slowly so that the exhale is longer than the inhale. Let's begin. Holding that breath for a moment, feeling the fullness of the lungs. And releasing slowly. And as you release, check in once more with the body, making sure that there are no points of tension or contraction. Remembering to check the forehead and the eyebrows, the shoulders, softening the belly. And a second conscious breath together. Holding that breath for just a moment. And releasing. And as you release, giving yourself full and complete permission to unplug from that energy of going and doing, striving, efforting, accomplishing, as we cultivate together the energy of being. That energy that requires absolutely nothing of us and is a source of chi, essence, or life force, and is always available to us. And a third conscious breath together. And releasing. And as you release, bringing your awareness now to the present moment. The present moment might seem like a small increment of time, but it actually has no beginning and no ending, and we are always arriving in the here and the now. And so we want to take a moment as well to welcome all of our family and friends and Sangha members who are joining us live on our streaming feed from all around the world. So it's truly a blessing to honor our Sangha both near and far. Here at Temple Buddhist Center, we like to begin our services with a little bit of chanting. Chanting is an integral part of every tradition. Chanting is not about being a singer. Chanting is about having a voice. Chanting is about a deeply devotional expression of what is most sacred within you and sharing that with the world, as well as an opportunity for Sangha to share not only our energy, but to combine our voices as well. Our chant this morning is Om Vajrapani Hum. Om Vajrapani Hum. And this is a chant that honors the energy of the enlightened mind, that boundless, endless energy that is vast and expansive. And oftentimes, the great masters would talk about how one candle can light another candle and lose absolutely no light or energy whatsoever. And so this honors that energy of the enlightened mind. I'm going to invite Christine to tone us in as we take a conscious breath together. And let us begin. Om Vajrapani Aham. 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 Once more. Om Vajrapani Aham. And we're very honored and happy to have Salita and the kids here with us this morning. Good morning, kids. Hi, guys. Welcome. Glad you're here. We love your energy and your presence. Salita, what are you guys doing today? Oh. So if you couldn't hear her, Salita said this morning that the kids are going to be doing a guided meditation on the 5 senses. Which one is your favorite sense? Summer knows. My favorite sense is chocolate. It's good to have you guys here. Thank you, Salita. And we wish you guys peace and love and joy as you guys go and work with the practice and work with a guided meditation. Bye now. Here at Temple Buddhist Center, we practice Western Buddhism, which is a blend of Eastern philosophy and Western psychology. And this new and exciting form of spirituality is dynamic. It is growing and changing with us, with our culture, our science, and our understanding as we come to know ourselves and our own true nature each and every day. It is inclusive. It is active. And it focuses on core Buddhist insights as well as mindfulness, meditation, and their practical applications in our daily lives. Our goal here is not to get everyone to agree on a specific lineage or philosophy or sect of Buddhism, but rather it is on a shared experience of mindfulness, oneness, and love. Whether we are chanting together, sharing from the heart, or spending time in noble silence, we respect that you will participate at a level that is comfortable for you. We take refuge in the 3 jewels of Buddhism and acknowledge these core values as expressions of the awakened mind, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We value awareness of our Buddha nature, as well as the Buddha nature of all beings, bringing a fresh new perspective to each and every encounter. The second jewel, the Dharma, the truth teachings that release us from fear and delusion and help us to realize the true nature of who we really are. And finally, our Sangha, our spiritual community, where we come together it's an essential part of growth as we come together to practice the teachings and to help each other along every step of the path. And so at this time, let us go ahead and silence any cell phones or electronic devices. If you're at home, anything you need to do to help create an atmosphere of meditation and contemplation as we move into that portion of our service this morning. We're going to begin with the prayer of refuge, which we will recite 3 times for the 3 jewels. Together, in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. And so as we prepare now for a time in meditation, if you have an extensive practice, then we invite you to practice in a way that is fitting for you this morning. If perhaps you are newer to meditation, then we're going to begin with a dedication of intention. We will awaken the bell 3 times for the 3 jewels. And then our teacher today, Mr. Robert Brumet, will lead us in a brief guided meditation that is designed to assist you in moving into the stillness. We will spend approximately 10 to 12 minutes this morning in noble silence, connecting with each other in consciousness. Afterwards, we will sound the return bell, and then it will be time for today's Dharma talk, or teaching. So let's begin with a conscious breath. Body, speech, and mind, in perfect oneness, I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness, transcend the path of anxiety and sorrow, and realize the true nature of who they are.
As we listen to the bell vibrating, the sound fading deep into the silence, we follow that sound into the silence. We open up the heart, the mind. We open up our intention to awaken. To awaken to that which is true, that which is real, that which never goes away. We pay attention to every experience that comes into our awareness, hearing, feeling the body, thinking, taste, smell, and seeing, if that should arise. Just noticing everything that we experience rises and falls. We notice the beginning of each experience, each note, each thought, each feeling. We notice the end of each experience. We notice it fade away. Just as the breath rises and falls in the body, so every experience in our life rises and falls. Everything in our life has a life cycle. It's born, it lives, it dies. We allow the breath to be our great teacher. Each breath brings life, but that breath must be released to allow for another breath and another. We can only breathe one breath at a time, but we cannot hold on to any of them. We cannot hold on to the breath. We cannot hold on to hearing. We cannot hold on to any experience. Just notice rising and falling, coming and going. The breath, the feelings in the body, the thoughts in the mind. Simply be aware. Be aware of the rising and the falling, and just allow it all to happen. Just notice that it happens on its own. Our work is to simply be aware, to relax, and to be aware. being aware of the breath, being aware of sensations in the body, being aware of thinking, being aware of hearing, sensing your body sitting in the chair or on the cushion, feeling your arms and your legs, opening the awareness to hearing. And in a moment, you will hear the sound of the bell. And as the sound of the bell fades into the silence, I invite you to gently open your eyes and bring seeing into your practice so that we continue our practice with our eyes open, our minds open, our hearts open, fully present to each experience in each moment. So continuing the practice with your eyes open. So often we finish our meditation and we say, okay, what's next? Well, there is nothing next. There is no next. There's only now. It's only this moment, you see. So we stay present in each moment, regardless of what we're experiencing. Today, our Dharma talk is titled, Can't Get No Satisfaction. You may have heard those words before. Last time I visited my teenage granddaughter, they live in Virginia, Northern Virginia. I heard her in her room just laughing and laughing and laughing. I said, what's so funny? And she says, Grandpa, come and look. She says, there's this old guy screaming and jumping across the stage like a chicken. And I says, honey, he's the heartthrob of the 1970s. She looked at me like I was crazy. She said, you gotta be kidding. And I said, yeah, it does. Each generation, it sounds a little crazier. I have a feeling that Mick Jagger is crying the lament, not just for himself, but for all of humanity. In that statement, I can't get no satisfaction, you see. Because that's really, in a sense, the heart of the Buddhist teaching. And the fact is that it's not that we can't get satisfaction. We've all experienced satisfaction. You know, that the dictionary defines it as the fulfillment of one's desires and the pleasure derived from that. So there's the experience of having our desires met, and then there's that feeling of, you know, everything is good for now, for 30 seconds. Or maybe, you know, I'm satisfied with my marriage, I'm satisfied with my job. Most of the time. Sometimes, once in a while, you see. Satisfaction doesn't elude us, but permanent satisfaction does. And therein lies the rub. There's something within the human psyche that's driving us toward constant sense of satisfaction. And it seems like it always eludes us. So we're going to talk about that today. And we're going to talk about why it eludes us and what we can do about it. So we all want lasting satisfaction, but we really know that it doesn't last. So typically what happens is that we want more, or we want something else. But either way, we can never quite get enough. Either enough of this, or even if I have all of this, then I want something else, you see. The Sanskrit word for this is tanha, T-A-N-H-A, tanha, which means the unquenchable thirst. And when Buddha said that the cause of dukkha, translated as suffering, but it's more properly translated as the word dissatisfaction. There's nothing in the world, there's nothing that humans experience that's permanently satisfying. And so the tanha, the constant thirst for satisfaction, shows up again and again and again, and it's unquenchable. In the Western world, there's a Greek myth of Tantalus. Familiar with Tantalus? He was one of the many people that PO'd Zeus, who was easily ticked off and very vindictive. So if you made Zeus angry, you were in deep trouble. So Tantalus made him angry. I forget what it was he did. It doesn't really matter. But for his punishment, Tantalus was made to stand in a pool of water up to his chin. And there were branches of low-hanging, luscious fruit just right above his head. And whenever Tantalus would get thirsty and he'd bend over, the water would recede. And he could never quite reach the water. Cool as it was, it looked delicious, he couldn't get there. And whenever he would reach for the fruit, the tree would just move up enough that he couldn't quite reach it. So not only was he deprived of what he wanted, but he was tantalized by the fact that it was always promising that it would be there. Does that sound like anything you know? Perhaps the world? You know, the world with all its promises. And those promises are like the water that we can never quite get to. We can never quite reach that water that satisfies us. We can never quite reach that low-hanging fruit that we desire. And so we're constantly caught up in this mirage, seeking a mirage. It's like being in the desert, you know. You've heard those songs and seen movies of wandering through the desert, and then it looks like there's an oasis up ahead, and it's always out in front of you, and you never quite get to it. And that's called a mirage. It's not really there. It just looks like it is. And so that's the way it is with the world. It's like this will satisfy you. This will satisfy you. This person, this experience, this degree, this job, this house, whatever. This will satisfy you forever. We keep trying, and it hasn't worked yet. And so at least Mick Jagger made a lot of money off of that fact, you know, that he and I think Woody Allen was the other one that probably made a lot of money off of his frustrations and neuroses. But most of us don't capitalize on it that much, but we're all aware of it. We're all very much aware of it. So I want to talk about this whole thing about how satisfaction works and how it doesn't work. So let's say we have a desire for something we believe is going to satisfy us. I'll call it X. Okay, it can be any substance, any experience, person, place, thing. And in honor of Victor, I'm going to use chocolate in my example. One of the primary six senses. So let's say I'm craving chocolate. So I'm sitting here thinking about some really good, delicious chocolate, some the Ghirardelli French silk. You ever had that? The kind that melts on your tongue. And the one I like has got just a hint of sea salt in it and a little bit of caramel. And you can taste that, all those luscious flavors, they just melt on your tongue. And you swallow that, and you're just in pure heaven. Totally satisfying. For maybe a minute if you're lucky. Then we want another bite, right? Because the satisfaction goes away. So let's take another bite. That's really, really, really good. Satisfies me for 30 seconds. So let's have another bite. Satisfies me for 10 seconds. Let's have another bite. Let's have another bite. Pretty soon I'm getting sick. Now, isn't that interesting? That same substance that gave us so much pleasure and satisfaction is making us sick. How can that be? You see? Well, it's not in the substance, you see that. Because obviously if it was in the substance, I could just keep eating chocolate, and I'd be happy forever after. Or whatever the case might be, you see. But no matter what it is, whether it's a marriage or a career or a piece of chocolate, it all fades sooner or later. And pretty soon that same perfect person that was so luscious and brought us so much joy is making us sick. Maybe they've changed, maybe they haven't. But the fact is that the high, the romantic high, or that first hit that we get from whatever it is, doesn't last. And sometimes we want to blame the substance or the person. And oftentimes that's why relationships don't last much beyond the honeymoon phase. Because once that satisfaction wears off, it's like, well, you're not the person that I married, you know. I need to find somebody else. You're not the right one. Or this is not the right whatever, you see, for me. So how can that substance that gave us so much pleasure make us sick? Well, the fact is that what we felt when we ate the chocolate, let's say, actually had nothing to do with chocolate. And it had everything to do with the fact that we, for a few moments, were no longer craving anything. For a few moments, we were satisfied. And in that sense of not craving, we felt the natural joy of our being. There's a blessing that we sometimes share in our closing prayers in some of the sanghas that I lead. It says, may you know the sacred joy that arises in the space beyond craving and aversion. May you know that sacred joy that arises in the space beyond craving and aversion. So we feel that sacred joy beyond craving and aversion. But the mind associates that sacred joy with the chocolate, the person, the whatever it is, you say. So the mind tells us it's out there. And it's got nothing to do with out there. It's got everything to do with the fact that we're no longer looking out there. So the whole wheel of samsara, which is the endless search for satisfaction, which only leads to suffering, more dissatisfaction, in the Hindu and Buddhist tradition has been called samsara. And it's believed by some in the traditional Buddhist belief that this samsara, this striving for constant satisfaction and pleasure in the world, is what keeps us coming back lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. You may not believe that, or you may believe it, but it doesn't matter, because in this lifetime it keeps us coming back to whatever it is, you see. So what's the solution? Well, obviously there's no magic bullet that we're going to find in the world. Does that mean we're all doomed to live in Mick Jagger hell? I hope not. And it doesn't mean that. We can become free. It can be done. It's not easy, but it can be done. It's not complicated, but it's not easy either. So the key is to be aware of that whole process: craving, dissatisfaction, desire, more craving, more dissatisfaction, craving, brief satisfaction, dissatisfaction, more craving, satisfaction, dissatisfaction, more craving, and on and on and on. That's the wheel of samsara, you see. So if we can break the cycle by not acting out the craving, to be fully aware of the craving without acting on it. And that's what meditation, that's what spiritual practice is. When we go to a retreat, or when we sit on our cushion for 30 minutes, we sit still because we make a commitment to not chase our desires. I have a desire for something cold to drink. Well, I don't jump up off the cushion and run out and get something cold to drink. I stay on the cushion. I watch that desire rise and fall, you see. I have a desire to scratch my nose. I watch that desire rise, that desire fall, you see. And that's where the practice requires discipline, and that's why it requires practice. It requires a teacher in some form. It could be a book or a remote teacher. It doesn't have to be one in front of you all the time. But the teacher, the teaching, the practice, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, you see. The Buddha is that promise that we can be free. It's possible to be totally free from dissatisfaction. Not by being constantly satisfied, but by touching that sacred joy that lies beyond craving and aversion. You see, That is the natural bliss of our being. The Hindus call it Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda, truth, being, and bliss. And bliss translates into sacred joy, the language we're using here. But that sacred joy comes not because we do something in particular, but it's because of what we don't do, you see. Eventually, the craving and the aversion will die out because, in a sense, what we're doing is we're starving it to death. We're not feeding it. So the craving arises, I notice the craving arise, and I notice it goes away. Well, that's pretty cool. I don't have to give in to my cravings. Or the aversion rises, and I want to make something go away. I don't have to make it go away. I can just be with it. I can be with things as they are. And I can begin to discover that sacred joy that lies beyond craving and aversion. And even if I do fall into craving and aversion, even if I do give in to whatever it is, I eat that piece of chocolate, I get that drink, whatever it is, all is not lost. Just stay with the experience, with awareness, and see the satisfaction, and then see the dissatisfaction that arises afterwards. Okay? So bringing awareness to each step, not acting out if we can, but even if we do, stay with it anyhow, you see. Even if you do scratch your nose, just notice, that feels so good. I'm in bliss. Of course, then another itch arises, right? You see. But just something as simple as that, you see, just notice the relief when you scratch an itch, how that, there is satisfaction from that, right? That goes away, and it's like, yeah. And then, of course, something else immediately arises to replace it. So we're not trying to torture ourselves, but we're trying to discipline ourselves to the point where we're not acting out. And again, once again, if we do act out, all is not lost. Judgment, self-criticism never helps. Never, ever, ever helps. No matter what we do, just keep bringing awareness to it. And it's okay. So I'd like to end with this quote from the Diamond Sutra. This is one of the Mahayana Sutras. These words were attributed to the Buddha. Thus shall we contemplate our existence in this fleeting world. Like a drop of dew in the morning sun, a bubble floating in a stream, a flash of lightning in a summer cloud, a flickering lamp, a phantom, and a dream. And good luck, Mick Jagger. May you find the satisfaction you're seeking. Thank you for sharing your practice with us this morning.
Thank you so much, Robert. So let's just take a moment to embody the teachings. It's so easy for the mind to want to analyze, try to remember, to dissect. It's sometimes more important to just feel the truth of the teachings. Let the heart resonate, not the head. And so now, as we transition to our next portion of our service this morning, it's not uncommon for people to wiggle or stretch or shift your posture, whatever you need to do, as we move into loving kindness or metta practice. And so we will begin with a conscious breath, breathing in and releasing. And it is not uncommon for an outward expression, a physical expression. Some people like to use the Anjali Mudra, or perhaps placing your hand on your heart as we move into this metta practice. And as you exhale, I invite you now to bring to mind an image, the full body image of you, the form that has been given your name and that has accrued the many experiences over the years. And holding this image in your mind's eye, recite silently to yourself these words of metta practice. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. And may I be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as you release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of a friend of yours. Holding this image in your mind's eye, let us open our hearts as we send metta. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as you release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of a difficult person in your life, a challenging person. Could be a boss or a co-worker, a neighbor, classmate, or a political figure. And holding this image in your mind's eye, let us open our hearts as we send metta. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as you release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of the world. All the plants and the flowers and the trees, animals of the land, the sea, the sky, and all sentient beings, including ourselves. Holding this image in our mind's eye, let us open our hearts as we send metta to us all. May we be filled with loving kindness. we be safe from inner and outer dangers. May we be well in body and mind. And may we be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And in the true spirit of dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, temple services here are given freely. In the same way, if you choose to give, please give with a generous heart, which means not in return for anything that you have received today, but rather so that those who may be seeking refuge may find it here in this temple with these teachings, with these teachers and this Sangha. The dana boxes are located at the back of the meditation hall, and we take a moment of gratitude for all of our wonderful ambassadors, those folks who have committed themselves to regular monthly electronic giving. It's not about the amount, it's that the regular monthly giving helps us to set a budget here at Temple Buddhist Center. Also, tremendous gratitude for all of our amazing and wonderful volunteers who work each and every day of the week to try to bring more programming, more groups, classes, workshops, and opportunities for our Sangha to come together or to work with a specific teaching or a technique or a practice. Everything that is put together is available on our website at templebuddhistcenter.com or also our Facebook page. Tremendous gratitude to Christine for your beautiful music today. Gratitude for Salita and all of the youth volunteers and folks who work with our kiddos. Thank you, Matthew, so much for helping us with our media today. And thank you, Mr. Robert Brumet, for your wonderful teachings, your generous heart, and your tremendous mentorship for myself and so many members of the Sangha. And thank you so much to each and every one of you for sharing your heart and your presence and your practice with us here at Temple Buddhist Center. We certainly are the better for it. And so as we prepare now for our closing dedication, oh, wait, I got to get to the folks in the up in the the heavenly abodes. As we prepare for our bodhicitta dedication, we'll recite this together, and then I have a few very important announcements, which means it includes chocolate. So here's our bodhicitta dedication together. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably, until all are illumined and awakened. And with our hands together in front of our hearts, as we go forth now from this place, may we enter each moment in innocence, guided by the wisdom of our hearts. And as we open our hands, open our eyes, shine our light into the world. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone. Just a few quick reminders. We are now having coffee, tea, and cookies downstairs in Unity Hall. So for some fellowship, an opportunity to maybe connect and make a new friend. Don't forget our lending library is burgeoning. I think that's how you say that word. Anyway, it's full of books that are all ready to share some nugget of truth with you. And don't forget, Kyle and the post-service discussion group we'll be meeting in the Heritage Room, which is just to the left as you walk out of the meditation hall. And for everyone online, you can also access the Zoom information at our website. So please check that out as well. Today is second Sunday, which means at 1 p.m. will be our Meditation 101. It's really not so much a basics class as it is an opportunity for practitioners to come together and talk a little bit about any issues that you may be having with your meditation or your mindfulness practice. So please, it'll be right here in this room. I know we have some folks joining us online as well. So that's at 1 p.m. here today. Also, don't forget, we have two great classes coming up. One is our Feel Your Blankety Blank Feels. This is a wonderful class put on by Crystal Webster and her group Sharing Solace. And it is a guide to processing grief through mindfulness, resiliency, meditation, and emotional intelligence. So there is a registration on our Facebook page and on our website. So please stop by and check that out. And also we have a couple Sundays left. We're going through July 31st. I know the 31st isn't on there, but it's been so successful that we're going to add the 31st. And that is Beth Sarver is leading what's called Interplay, Unlocking the Wisdom of Your Body. It's an opportunity for adults to work with spontaneity, to work with improvisation, and to work with games and activities that are designed to help us remember and learn the freedom of play and how important a process that can be and the tremendous gifts that unlocks as well. So we have all these wonderful things happening. And real quick reminder that as of next Sunday will be our last Sunday that we'll be accepting youth meditation at 9 a.m. We're still doing it at 10:30, but to help with staffing and things like that, we're going to just be doing youth meditation at the 10:30 service. We will always take children 4 and under, both for the 9 a.m. and the 10:30. So the Angel Loft is always open, but youth meditation is just going to be at 10:30. And this organically has grown up because we just generally don't have a whole lot of children at 9. And so we do have plenty at 10:30 though. So we'll be doing that. And don't forget, we have a couple classes left in our Tai Chi Cha, which has been also wonderfully received at 6:30 on Tuesdays. We'll be taking a break through August, and then it will start up again August 23rd. So the rest of the Tuesdays in July, please come and experience meditative movement or Tai Chi Cha, an opportunity to work with life force and energy known as Chi. And it's a wonderful complement to your sitting meditation practice to be able to work with movement meditation. And so with that, I believe that we've covered everything. Thank you all so much. I wish you peace and blessings as you go into your day.